Hi guys, and welcome to a brand new video. I, like many of us, watched E3 with great enthusiasm to see what games we can look forward to over the next year, and although many piqued my interest, none more so than Anthem. Firstly, a bit of background. As many of you I'm sure can guess, I'm a huge Destiny fan. That is not to say I don't fully recognise that Destiny has its flaws, and therein lies why Anthem piqued not just mine, but many people's attention. To see why many people were excited, we need to look at why so many people still question if and why Destiny is the market leader caught in the shared world shooter corner of the gaming world. And that's why, more importantly, many potential games have tried and failed to rival it. None emphasises this failure more so than The Division. And we'll be using an example to point out where Anthem can learn from the mistakes of The Division and give Destiny a real run for its money, but also learn from others' mistakes. Welcome to What Can Anthem Learn from The Division? I'm going to break down this video into two key areas where I think The Division failed. We aren't going to talk about the graphics, barely touch on gameplay, and totally ignore meeting hype and expectation. This video is about learning from the mistakes one game made. Albeit a great example, there are lots of reasons why many games have failed to match Destiny, but The Division, in my opinion, tops the list. And I think the first place to start is an easy one. Can two AAA games like this coexist? Does it have to be your COD or Battlefield for the more casual players? And the simple answer is yes, in my opinion, and this was Division's greatest mistake. Destiny 1 was on its last legs when Division came out, void of new content, and Division went straight for the kill shot. This was a mistake. Destiny had a loyal fan base, many of whom, myself included, saw Division as a great way to spend 8 or so months of the year when Destiny had its notorious downtime. The games were very different, but appealing to the same core group of fans. However, the second the Division decided to match to the day Destiny's release schedule, there was going to be an issue. This was no longer two great games on the market, but a head-to-head fight. A head-to-head fight the Division was ill prepared for. Let's not forget, at this point Destiny had 2 years of doing things very wrong to know exactly what to do right. Division did not have this, and it showed. The first post-launch release content, Falcon Lost, hit the community harder than any other release to follow. It was rushed, and that was painfully clear. What would follow, despite that initial miscalculation, was a commitment from the developers to line up new content and information released perfectly in time with Destiny's timeline. And the mistake on this was never more evident than when Destiny did a live stream straight after The Division potentially could have announced anything for Year 2, including a potential Taken King style revamp. Destiny announced virtually no information, just a confirmation of what we'd already suspected. Yet while The Division struggled to hit 10,000 viewers, Destiny hit well over 100,000 viewers. Many will argue at this point that the game had become niche for the hardcore, but let's not forget, in its opening week sales, Division beat Destiny's record for a new IP. This at one point was a mainstream game, a well-hyped game that all came crashing down with Falcon Lost. Suddenly, the amazing Dark Zone was full of glitches, and in many cases good players accused of glitching, all of whom had nothing better to do than beat down those who couldn't or wouldn't glitch. Now, I'm not going to go into the complexities of why the Dark Zone was great and horrible in this video. We'll be here all night, but it did set a dangerous precedent for what would follow. Skill was dead, metas were king, and the introduction of gear sets changed the game forever. And this brings me on nicely to my final point: simplicity. Gear sets, stat rolls, armor, and how to use all this in combination with the appropriate skills and gun that is the meta at the time suddenly gave you, I'd argue up to a 50 or even 75% greater power than somebody new to the game who is yet to understand builds. Take this and compare it to Destiny. Having that gun with the god roll will no doubt give you an advantage. Knowing how to maximise your skill tree for any one subclass again will give you an advantage, but we're not talking 50 or 75, we're talking nearer to 10 or 25%. Certainly not to the level Division gave you. Of course Destiny has balancing, whereas the Dark Zone was never supposed to be balanced, but there are two key consequences that ultimately killed the game for all but the hardcore who spent hours refining their build. It alienated the casual players from PvP, and more importantly caused the developers to spend the next year bringing us reworks, fixes and balancing instead of engaging PvP content and PvE content to keep those casual players in the game. Yes, there were high points like Survival, but even then there were huge low points like Underground and Last Stand. Despite this, one constant emerged from year 1 into year 2. This is it, this is what you're getting. We've created an amazing universe with a detailed story that we are going to in no way advance, either because we don't want to, or more likely because it's too late to bring players back, so we'll wait for a sequel. Almost a year wasted from a developmental point of view. Would the Division have been in better standing if it had dropped the looter aspect and aimed more squarely towards games like COD? We'll never know. But one thing became clear though, however frustrating, Destiny's commitment to making character building simple has worked. Either by design or failure of competitors, it's worked. Casuals aren't alienated, but by a lack of understanding. Yes, many hardcore players look elsewhere for games now. There are of course the raids and trials of Osiris to keep them playing, but we hardcore players are a funny bunch though. We make videos, promote games, drive up interest, then more often than not demand a game that only appeals to us, then leave that game as soon as the next shiny thing comes along. Casuals, in their numbers, that's where the money is. So in conclusion, and in many ways it's way too early to tell what type of game Anthem will be and whether or not they can learn from these two key failings. With any luck we'll have two amazing games that push each other into creating better and better content. No longer will Destiny be able to play it safe. Once again, Bungie will be driving the gaming community forward with innovation. Of course, I and many fans don't want them to push the boundaries too far and destroy what they have built, but equally we don't want to stand still for 10 years. Learning to coexist is what produces better gaming for people. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo have all learned to coexist. They each want to be the market leader, but more importantly they each have come at it in a different direction, offering choice and innovation. Many would argue that healthy rivalry is leading to a rise in exclusive content, but also massive advancements in hardware and graphics. Both Destiny and Anthem should want to be the market leader, but both should have a healthy respect for each other. Timing content releases to give players 1 or 2 months on each before switching back and then switching back again sounds idealistic. Why would a developer let their community leave with no guarantee of return? But is this such a bad idea? Many non-looter games have months between DLC, and a promise of new content will always bring players back. Had the Division concentrated on the quality story at proper intervals whilst not rushing it, in my humble opinion the game would have been in far better standing. I could see myself spending 2 months running the raids, switching to Division for a few months of survival before returning to Destiny to completely end the book. We will never know if Division had followed this roadmap. Would they be in any better standing than they are now? But it's hard to imagine them being in any worse standing. Maybe in Anthem's case, they will learn and we will have a 7-year period where 2 games push each other into making better and better content to the benefit of all while they coexist, dominating the market. Maybe Anthem will be the game to finally topple Destiny. Maybe it will follow Division into being that game that was amazing for a while. I don't know. However, if Anthem follows Division's lead, make sure if you do take a swipe at the king, you don't miss. As for how complex their game will be, there's no easy answer. Gamers love more and more depth, and it's certainly easier from a YouTube point of view, endless build and stat advice videos, but if it's too complicated, there's no one playing. If no one is playing, no one is watching the videos. If you've enjoyed this, please like and share, and be sure to subscribe. I'm GG Baxter.